Hello everyone, hope you're having a good day. In today's video I'm going to be making donuts. I played around with the shapes a little bit in this video, as you can see here. Made some star shapes with different size holes in the middle, and I made like a plain donut at the back that I filled with jam. So let me show you how I made them. To begin, I took 100 milliliters of soy milk and 25 grams of caster sugar and heated them together over a low heat until the sugar had dissolved. So here I am just gently simmering them, making sure they don't boil, otherwise you're going to lose a lot of volume of milk and the donut will be too dry. Once the sugar was dissolved, I set the milk to the side for a moment and measured out 3/4 of a teaspoon of instant yeast into a separate jug. When the milk was cooled, I then added half of it to the yeast to activate it. And to the remaining half, I added 25 grams of unsalted butter. So after 2 or 3 minutes, this is what they both look like. The butter's nicely dissolved and the yeast is starting to become active. And then just added a pinch of salt to the milk, butter and sugar mixture to season it. In a separate bowl here, I've got 160 grams of plain flour that I've sifted, and to this I'm going to add 1 egg yolk, and then just mix briefly to combine. I then added both the milk and yeast mixtures, and then combined into a smooth dough. You can see here that the dough's pulling away from the sides and it's collected all the flour and everything's together. And you can see it's just gently dropping off the spoon like that. I then floured my work surface and tipped out the dough, and just gently kneading it together until it becomes smooth. This is the kind of dough you're looking for, smooth and elastic, but not overworked. I then cleaned out my bowl, placed the dough in, covered it with cling film, and then placed it in a warm place for about an hour and a half until doubled in size. This is what mine looked like after it had finished proving. So next, I tipped the dough out onto a floured surface and began rolling it out. I was looking for a thickness of about 1/4 inch or about 60 millimeters. To get the star shape that I'm looking for, I made this template just out of a bit of cardboard that I had lying around. So you can see me cutting out the star shape, just taking my time. It's kind of difficult to do because the template keeps moving around, but I eventually got it done. It's quite satisfying actually, the dough's pretty firm. Well, it's firm but soft, so it's easy to cut, but it keeps its shape once you have cut it. I then transferred the star onto a square of greaseproof paper and then set it aside while I did the rest. I also wanted to make bigger donuts, so here I've got some dough that I've rolled out to about 1/2 inch or 13 millimeters. And I'm just doing the same process, putting the template on and then cutting out the star shape. To punch the hole out of the centre, I found a bottle cap that was about the right size, and I just forced it all the way through with my fingers, pressing it right the way through until the dough popped out. And then just as before, I moved the star onto a square of greaseproof paper and set it aside. Here you can see all of the donuts I've done. I had a bit of dough left over, so I made some round donuts. And after proving for another 45 minutes, you can see they've puffed up quite a lot and they're ready to go in the fryer. To fry the donuts, I took my Dutch oven and filled it about halfway full with some sunflower oil, which I heated to 180 degrees. I tried to keep this heat even throughout the cooking process, so I was constantly adjusting the heat. To fry these donuts is quite simple. You just gently drop the greaseproof paper and the donut into the oil, allowing it to fry for about 30 seconds on each side until golden brown. It's kind of dangerous, so just take your time. Camera shut off here unfortunately, but here you can see it's frying on the opposite side, nice and golden. Worked really nicely. So just take your time and do it carefully. It's more the colour you're looking for, everything will cook through fine. Here's everything that I made. I made a few of them little dots in the top right hand side. They were supposed to be leaves for the stars. But everything cooked through nicely. And then next I'll show you how to finish them up. So to start with, I thought I'd fill the round donuts with some plum jam that I'd made in a previous video. So I just filled a piping bag, shoved the nozzle in and started filling. This jam was a bit too loose, a bit too thin. So a thicker jam probably would have been better. You can see it's overflowing here, but I just cleaned that up afterwards. And I repeated the same process on the other donut. And there you can see afterwards, cleaned them up, they look quite nice. Now for the stars, I was trying to replicate the Stardrop from Stardew Valley, which I'll show just here. So I'm going to go for a nice pink purple colour. I didn't get the colour quite accurate, again this was another problem I had, but I tried my best. So here I've got 40 grams of icing sugar, and to this I've added 1 tablespoon of soy milk, and I'm just mixing this together to form a smooth paste. I thought that this mixture wasn't thick enough to ice the donuts, so I added another 20 grams of icing sugar and then continued to mix this together. I forgot to record this bit, but I added some purple food colour into the icing and just mixed it together. Now to ice the donuts, I thought it'd be best to pour the icing onto a plate, so it's just a smooth flat surface that I can then dip the donuts on to ice them. It's important to note that at this point the donuts are properly cooled. This wouldn't work very well if they were hot. So here we've got one of the larger donuts, nicely cooled, and I'm just dipping it into the icing. I'm only going to do the top side. And then I'll just pull it off gently and let it dribble for a couple of seconds. At this point I realised the icing could have been a bit thicker. So there, it looks quite good, I'm happy with it. But it could have been a bit thicker. So when I dipped the smaller donuts, I actually thickened the icing up with about another 10 grams or so of icing sugar. I think it worked out a bit better. But you can just experiment on your own if you try this recipe out and see what works best for you. Finally, here we have all the donuts together. The colour's a bit off and it didn't turn out exactly as I wanted to. I was a bit disappointed with this, but they taste really good. Better than I thought they would actually. I was quite impressed. So yeah, there we are, there's the final shot. I think I'm going to revisit this recipe in the future sometime. I think I can do a better job of replicating the Stardrop from Stardew Valley. I've got an image in my head of what I want, and this wasn't it, but I'm still happy with it, I guess. I think a mirror glaze might be better next time, like a dark, deep purple mirror glaze. So yeah, I might play around with that sometime again in the future. So yeah, expect a video on that in the future sometime. Hope you guys enjoyed though. Making these donuts was a lot of fun. I think you guys will enjoy the recipe too if you give it a try. Thank you very much for watching.